All right, welcome back to the live session. We're here for the PM session for PM New York. Still trading Nasdaq 100 futures. Okay, let me clean up our chart a little bit from the morning session. Take a peek and see how everything worked out during the lunch session. Oh, wow. All right, so we had a slow grind upwards till just before these equal highs from 11 o'clock. Didn't take out the equal highs, but it just collapsed, breaking through the new day opening gap and sweeping the lows that was made just before the lunch hour. So let's just open that up in a larger view and continue to monitor price as we seek lower prices. Let's see where these purple lines are coming from. Oh, okay, so it's coming from yesterday. Wow. Completely different session. Let's remove these. Probably a consolidation zone or something similar. So let's now look and wait for price to settle. Obviously, it's making lower lows. So if we're looking for a short of any kind, we'll need a high to be swept prior to that. So we do have some time to sit back and watch price. You can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen on the 5-minute chart just how significant the last 15 minutes have been. Looks like we're aiming for a fair value gap down at 16,660. That could be a nice settling spot or a nice spot for price to just rest for a bit or reject off of. Just before lunch, I remember speaking about where I saw price retracing to possibly after putting a Fibonacci on yesterday's FOMC movement from 2 o'clock all the way until the high that was made during the Asia session. So the 50% mark, which we definitely want to see price retrace to for price to be balanced, was at 16,738. So we did see that price targeted in the last few minutes. 738 is roughly here. So right at 1259 is when we crossed that area. So we have retraced down to 50% already. In fact, we've retraced down to 60%. 70% is right at that fair value gap that I was mentioning at 16,680. Well, actually, no, that's a fair value gap on the 1 hour. Sorry, that's at 16,680. The one on the 5-minute was at 16,660. Okay. So what we want to see now is whether price is going to continue seeking lower values, or if we're going to see things flatten out a bit and then a turnaround. So it's still early in the hour. It's only 5 minutes in. So we'll just continue monitoring. Welcome back, Anis. Yeah, you're right. That was a wild move. Last 15 minutes just completely dropped 100 points. This is still in the same area. Had a sharp decline at the end of the lunch session at the start of the afternoon. I'm sure price will want to settle down for a bit and probably continue its downwards push. There are several fair value gaps, bullish fair value gaps below that it may reject off of, but price is probably going to be pulled in that direction. I mean, if I look at the daily, we had 5 consecutive bullish days of rather large candles. Also, we achieved the high of the year just yesterday. So, and then broke that at the start of the Asia session after the 1800 reopening of the market. So, retracement is in order. In fact, a rather large retracement could be in order. We just need to be available just in case that happens. But this afternoon, I wouldn't be surprised if we have lower values. Okay, a new low has just now been put in. Let's see if in fact we do get a push lower. All right, scalping model delivered that quickly. Yeah, blow this up a bit. Tap right in and right out. Oh, 5 into 15. Okay, well, I'll have to check that out after the session. But the unicorn setup is one that I want to get better at. I'm not really good at seeing breakers or trusting myself that what I see is a breaker. So I will continue to back test that one and continue to practice. But yeah, if you notice anything, please throw it out. There may be some other traders in the room that are into breakers as well. And so thanks for that, Anis. if we can't get an entry off the 50%. Continue to stretch this out just in case price does return. If we get a new low below the swing low here at 16,693, then we will cancel the limit order and we'll move on looking for another setup. Okay. All right, canceling the limit order. Okay, we just had another delivery at the 30% level. We're in here. We can make a new low. We do have a new setup that's available. Okay, let's shift this down just in case a new low is made. Be easier to see. Okay, there it is. For the time being, price seems to be rejecting the level, looking to make lower prices. Let's readjust our screen. I thought I was in. It didn't tap me in. Let's see if it now races out of the zone for profit. And in that case, I'll release the limit order. Okay, I'm in now. See if it. Okay, one loss. Tap me into the second one. Let's see what happens there. Looks like we're close to delivering, maybe. Let's break even if things don't work out for us. It's twice come like 90% of the way to deliver and retraced on us. So let's protect ourselves. Okay. Re-enter at 70% retracement if we get there. You get 50%. Okay, so we did deliver profit. 5 handles for anyone entering that trade. 70% never got entered. All right, we're going to cancel that limit order now. And we're going to hope price continues downwards, take out this low, and therefore it can provide us another entry. How do you choose your contracts to trade every day? You mean a contract size? How many contracts? Or what do you mean? Okay, there was a 70% entry right there. We got an abbreviated entry here, so smaller risk. reduce our risk even further and see if we can't get this to push down to profit. And we did. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So that was a 70% entry that did deliver the 50% as well, the 30% not so much. Oh, NQ or ES. Oh, okay. So Ronaldo, for the most part, I'm trading Nasdaq every day. I mean, I will trade the ES sometimes, but I haven't traded the ES probably in 8 weeks, maybe. So for the most part, I'm choosing Nasdaq every day unless there's a reason not to choose it. And so far, I haven't found one. If it gets to the point to where Nasdaq is just not really price action is not moving the way we like it, you know, over several weeks in a row or something similar, then maybe I'll look into moving back to ES. But most of my back testing, in fact, all of my back testing has been with Nasdaq. So I'm really comfortable with the contract size and the movement of the candles and the stop loss placement and those things. If I moved over to ES, would likely have to do like a 2 to 2.5 point take profit and stop loss, because essentially one contract is $100. So on ES, that would be 2 points. The only thing is I haven't back tested it, so I can't confirm that 2 points would yield more wins than losses. So for now, I'm going to stick to Nasdaq. But great question. Let me move this out of the way. Clean up our chart. Okay, so we're looking at now we've traded back into sort of the first consolidation zone after the big move down from lunch. Right, we had one zone drop, another zone, slight drop, another zone, and now we're traded back into the center. So let's give price a moment to give us a more clear view of what's to come, and then we'll look for a new setup. Reginaldo, are you normally a Nasdaq or an S&P trader? And also, how long have you been trading? Oh, rejected all of your orders. I'm on Topstep as well. That's weird. Hmm. Rejected all of my orders. Trying to think of why they would reject your orders. Because I'm trading through Tradovate and TradingView, and I haven't had any issues this morning. Are you sure you haven't reached your daily limit, your daily loss limit? And the new day starts at 1800. So if you traded yesterday evening and maybe took a few losses, that potentially could be why it's rejecting. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah. Yep. Definitely make sure that you switch over to the March contract. The December contract may have stopped producing new values. I'm not sure. Hmm. Yeah, if you've tried everything and nothing's working, you may want to put in a customer service ticket with Topstep and let them know that you're unable to make trades. Oh yeah, yeah. You need to stick to to futures on indices if you're going to trade on Topstep. Let me see if I can't show him where we need to go here. Yep, you're going to want to click on this futures button here, and then up top you have the ES and Nasdaq. You can trade crude oil, I believe, gold probably. I mean, there's a long list of items here that you can trade, but yeah, you can't just choose anything, not through Topstep. Okay. Yep. So these are the ones that you're gonna want to trade. You're gonna want to go into if you want to trade the S&P for March of 2024, ESH 2024, and then NQH 2024 for the Nasdaq. And if you like the Dow, it's YMH 2024. Okay, we got a little trend line liquidity here. Let's see if this all gets swept up. You have one, two, three lows that could be targets. Um, you'll probably have to find a list on Topstep. Let me see if I can quickly locate something. Just give it a try. Yeah, I just took a quick look. I wasn't able to locate anything, but I'll keep looking, and if I find something, I'll definitely let you know. But if for the most part, everyone that I've talked to, everyone that I know who's using Topstep, everyone's trading one of the three major indices, either the Dow, the S&P, or the Nasdaq. Everyone I know that's trading currencies and wanted to do Forex, they're using one of the other prop firms like My Forex Fund or any of those. But for indices and futures, everyone's using Topstep, and then I do know a few people using Apex. Okay, we had our first low swept. Let's see if lower prices are in store, and then we're going to sweep these other two, or if we get a rejection off of this level and we seek higher prices. Okay, let's keep an eye on the clock as well. It's 1:45. In 15 minutes, we'll hit that sort of sweet spot, 2 o'clock, that a lot of people like to trade. Okay, we've taken half of this wick, this one here. You always want to see a long wick, at least traded 50% into it. Let's see if it goes all the way and takes out the low. Okay. All right, so that objective has been met. And again, to make a new low, we just need to take out this last one. Make that an easier visual for you. And there we go. So there's that trend line liquidity. All right, so now we have manipulation of pretty sizable manipulation actually here. So I'm not going to look for a setup in here. We already had this setup right here that delivered for us earlier. We're going to want to avoid getting into a second setup in essentially the same range. In fact, we don't want price to trade above this purple line just because we don't want it to get trapped there and maybe potentially make higher prices. We'd rather see it stay below, create a short-term high, sweep that high, and then trade lower. The win rate definitely was around 70% until the last 2 days. The last 2 days have not been strong. I'll say that. If you've been watching the last 2 days, you've seen me take several losses. Today, let me see, what did I do? I did 3 losses this morning. So far this afternoon, 1 loss, 1 win. But welcome to the channel. Best relaxing music. Good to have you. All right, new lows. We want to see a high put in at some point and then have that swept and then new lows sought. Okay, down in the left-hand corner, the 5-minute chart. I was talking about that fair value gap at 16,660 when we first started the session at 1 o'clock, and there we are now. Took us a bit to get there, but We made it. Now we want to see how price reacts from this level. I mean, it's a fair value gap from 16,660 all the way down to 16,605. So 50-point move here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll explain it. Sure. It's so it's a 30-second scalping model. Um, essentially what you want to do is you want to find the trend, which direction is the market moving. And since lunchtime, we've had downward movement, so we've been looking for shorts. What you want to see is as price is moving downwards and making a new high, making lows. After it makes a low, you want to see a swing high swept. And so in this case, we had a swing high swept here. You have a high, a lower high to the left, and a lower high to the right. So once that swing high is broken, you then want to see a new low. So this was the previous low. We had to wait until it came over here and it broke down and wicked below. From there, we're still bearish, looking for lower prices. So any move upwards, we consider manipulation. So you put a Fibonacci on that manipulation leg from the wick low to the wick high. And then we have 30%, which is your most aggressive entry. Once price dips below and makes a new low, the retracement upwards, when it hits 30%, if that's the entry model that you like, if you're aggressive in that manner, you want to then take a short from 30% for 5 points. 5 points down, and you have a 5 points take loss, stop loss. Let me grab the short tool and just show you. Okay. So this would be the short tool. Price dip below, trade it back up. You would have took a short here. You can see it never tapped you out, and it broke through the lower area. So these candles right here produced the winner. Tapped in, 2 candles later, the take profit was achieved and the trade was over. It then came back, hit that level again, and traded out. So twice. And then it came back a third time, hit that level, and traded out. So that 30% entry delivered 3 times. Okay, we're still bearish, so we're still looking for new lows to be met. They have been met. Wow. Okay, so it's just running. So we don't have a new setup until we have a high taken. And so after this low was made here, which took out this low, we now need a swing high, which we do have a swing high right here, but we need price to retrace back up, sweep that high, and then push down for lower prices. Just give me a second to clean up these charts. All right, there we are. So on the 5-minute, we've made it halfway through that 50-point fair value gap. So we're right around in the middle point now. Okay, 5 minutes to the hour. Maybe this can be a good point for it to come up, sweep this high, hit this bearish fair value gap, and seek lower prices. Just for everyone's knowledge, yesterday at the FOMC, when we saw the interest rates announced and price just skyrocketed and took off to the upside, that low was 16,592. So we're about 50 or 60 points away, and this low that we put in 3 minutes ago was 16,628. So we were only 40 points away from erasing all of the upside that FOMC brought. Yeah, essentially, yes. Best relaxing music. Mm-hmm. Yes, and yeah, we're taking 1-to-1 trades, 5 point stop loss, 5 point take profit. You can adjust that as you see fit. Some people like larger stop losses with larger take profit. Others like to keep stop loss at 5, but then increase the take profit to 10 and try to get a 1-to-2 trade. So it just um, depends on your trading style and your risk tolerance. One to two, okay. Yep, I would recommend you either switch over to your practice account um, if you're in the middle of a funding challenge, or definitely do some back testing prior to. But yeah, 1 to 2 is there's no issue with that. All right, 30 seconds before 2 o'clock. Let's see what happens. All right, but yeah, good to have you though. Thanks for joining the channel and hanging out with us. Delete this, but if you look down at the 5 minute, we got a little battle going on between fair value gaps. Let me peek over at the 1 minute and just see what. Okay, similar fair value gap on the 1 minute. Essentially created at 2 o'clock, but we haven't had price revisit that area yet. What we need to see is a breakdown in price down to this fair value gap, and then from there, see whether we get a rejection or if it just plows right through it and it seeks lower prices. Put this here as well. All right, Anna, see you tomorrow. Yeah, I know it's pretty late over where you are. Thanks for joining today. Okay, still no breakdown in price. I do have the upper limit marked out. If we can penetrate this purple line you see at the top at 16,703, then we will effectively change back to a bullish momentum, and then we look for longs if price continues in that direction. But first, we would need to have that level broken. I do have levels marked up below just in case price starts to crash. We would need to break through those fair value gaps and down to making a new low in order to continue bearish. I'm assuming you're referring to in between this level. Um, yeah, it's true. You never know. 52 from 60. No, I don't know. What I'm looking for a bearish setup. So mine would end up looking like this. It'll be this entire range from the last low made through the entire manipulation because the high is up here. right? So then I would be looking for a short from about 48. If you're talking about a long, let's see, have sweep a low. I mean, we haven't really changed market structure yet, but we do have quite a few candles that shows a long trend, at least in the very, very short term. We do have a sweep of a low. We have a new high being made. So I guess you could technically do this. And now if it trades back up, yeah. Actually, a long setup would look like this. We would need price to be up here and need to trade down and then back up. Okay, let's see what price does when it gets down into the next level down at the fair value gap. Yeah, I know. So you want to take a short from here down to here. And if price breaks through, then that's likely a scenario that will happen. I'm not sure I would take that setup though. Yeah, so where we are right now is we're kind of stuck in price action. And since it was such a long way down, um, and I took this off at a 5 minute. I just wanted to test something, whether I could just use the 5 minute as market structure. But if not, if I didn't use the 5 minute as market structure, then we likely had a market structure shift right here. Right. This would have been a small swing high here, which would have led to the last low. Breaking that, then switches back bullish. We will get a low swept here, down here. And now we have a new high. So in that case, we'd be looking for this type of situation, which is essentially where we are right now. Where's my long tool? Okay, so we would be here, but not in a trade yet because it never tapped us in. It was one tick away. It never happened. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looked like it could. I mean, we definitely were making lower prices. We were pushing down. The leg from FOMC yesterday, I checked the retracement. We got all the way down to just almost 88%, but we did pass the 83.5%. So nearly a full retracement from yesterday's afternoon activity plus the Asia race up to a new high. So what's price going to do now? Great question. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to seek lower prices, but again, I want to be nimble. If we're gonna get higher prices this afternoon, I'll take longs. Oh, okay. Oh man, Chris, one day you're gonna learn. You're gonna get it. Don't worry. But the last 2 days have been tough. So don't be too hard on yourself. See if we can get along here. $1,200. Next time you get 1,200, please, please do yourself a favor, step out. When I get 1,200, I usually walk away. That's a good day for me. That's all I want. All right, let's see if we get a new high here. I'll cancel the limit order. Okay. Okay, we did have a new low. Oh, I'm sorry, not a new low, but a swing low created. So if we can get a sweep of this swing low, then we'll look for a new high and then take a setup from there. Yeah, Chris, it's taken me quite some time to get here, though. I'll be honest. It's taken me at least a year of trading and being able to control my emotions. I watched on YouTube Trading in the Zone. Just listened to somebody read the audiobook to me several times, just so I can continuously remind myself that losing trades are part of the game, and all you want to do is make sure you control your risk management and control your emotions. And I try to watch it or listen to it at least once every 6 to 8 weeks, just for that reminder. Okay. See, okay, so in the 5 minute we have taken out that high. Remove this line, remove this line, and this one. Okay. Anyone who took a long in the last 20 minutes or so is sitting pretty right now. So, yeah, Chris, the good thing about when you listen to an audiobook is it's a long book. So if you listen to the entire thing, I think it's somewhere around 7 or 8 hours. But you can put it on, you know, time and a half or something and try to cut it down a little bit. But there's some really good lessons in there. And Mark Douglas is, I mean, if you listen to a lot of traders or talk to a lot of traders, most have read his book or at least listened to the audiobook. So it's definitely helped a lot of people. All right. So we just recovered everything from the open from 1300. So for the last hour, everyone who joined us the stream early on, we just made a full recovery of all of that. Now let's see how far we have to go for lunchtime. For lunchtime recovery, we need to get up to 818, so another 100 points. Okay, we have a closer swing low to where price is right now. If we can't make that area a little larger. So we can see if this level at 16,710 gets taken. It looks like we're going to get another swing low that's a little higher. So let's move our target. Okay, let's shift this up. We have a new swing low. Oh, wow. Yeah, you got to get to the point to where at some point you'll be as comfortable trading your combine account as you are trading your practice account. You'll do it with the same level of calmness. You'll leave your stop loss where it is without worrying about it coming back. Um, and once you listen to trading in the zone, I think you'll be closer to that than you are now. So yeah, good luck. After you listen to the book, definitely come back and let everybody know if it had an impact on you. But that's great that you're up that much. But if you're paying attention to the 5 minute chart, just be aware that it has just passed two swing highs, so there'll be a retracement at some point. So just set your stop loss up, whether you want to exit on a retracement or you want to keep your stop loss low and let it retrace and try to stay on for the rest of the day. Okay, that's great. Good deal. Good deal. All right, everyone. So we've had two swing lows taken. But in order to look for our next setup, we need a new high now. Then we can look at this as our manipulation. Let's take a small order here just in case we do get that retracement I was just talking about. Fast moving candle kind of confirms it. A 30 and 50 are both retracement levels are in trades now. All right, so 30% trades are no longer in, they're out. 50 and 70s are in, 50s are out. Oops. '70s are winners. 30s and 50s lost the trade. 70% retracement level winner. All right, 1 win, 2 losses for the afternoon session. Okay, we did get a pierce of this low, signaling we could get a change to the downside. But for now, let's just continue monitoring and wait and see. Okay, it's just past 2:30, so we're halfway through the hour. Okay, got a new high. So we are remaining bullish. We now have manipulation of here now, because we had a high made here. We had a sweep of a low here, and then we had a new high. It's too close in the same area for me, so I will not be joining in on this trade. But this is the setup: new high, sweep of a low, continuation. Okay, continuation. So let's move this out of the way. Actually, good. It didn't give us as an entry. Would have hated for that to have been a loss for someone. Okay. Just produced a win for somebody. All right, so 30% and 50% just got delivered winners if anyone entered this trade. All right, let's see if we can get a sweep of these lows, of this low here at 16,715. Or will this candle create a new low? And it did. Okay. Price just delivered for the 30% once again. Came down, delivered out, came back in, passed the entry point, and delivered out again. Good job, Chris. Biggest trade you ever had, I bet. As long as you're holding those runners until these lows get taken out, you have nothing to worry about. Here we have basically what we consider relative equal lows. Yeah, whenever I trade with momentum, I'm usually doing it through order blocks. Okay. Let's now shift this up to there, as that's now the closest swing low to our current price. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. So you're saying that you learned from someone who had a tool that showed how many buyers were at certain levels and how many sellers were at certain levels? I think I've seen something similar to that. All right. Okay. So we got price coiling in on itself now. lower highs and higher lows. So it'll watch it kind of get in this area, then it'll break out one of these sides. Okay, it's 2:45 now. Let's see what the last quarter hour does for us. Yeah, I want to mention we're still bullish at this moment. We're still bullish, but we haven't had a swing low taken out yet. So if it does make a new high, we don't have a setup. We just mark out the high so it's easier to see. Move these lines here. We have a new high. So we can delete this line as well. Okay, let's shift this upwards to the most recent swing low, which is here. Right, sorry. This is actually the most recent swing low. Let's see what happened on the 15-second. Oftentimes the 15-second will give you that, and it actually did. See? There's a swing low right here that was broken. And now we put in a new high. And now that we're moving up to 16,740 as the trading value, let's not forget at 16,760, so about another 20 points, we're right back at that new day opening gap, which has been a big, huge magnet for price over the last couple of weeks. So let's just continue to monitor that as well, and know that as price is moving upwards, we may meet some resistance in about another 20 points. $15,000. Oh, Chris, I hope you were still in there so we could ride it all the way up to the new day opening gap. But either way, no, even though it's your practice account, those are still wins that you need in your book as you develop as a trader. Yeah, I would say I'm similar. What I'm notorious for doing is opening up the day with a loss and then spending the rest of the day getting back to break even. Finish the day break even after taking 3 or 4 trades and just feeling like I've traded all day and I'm sitting right at zero. Yeah, it is hard to watch the market and not be tempted to join and take a trade. It's also where some of your best learning come from. Back testing is a great way to test out strategies, but the candles aren't moving, so you have the opportunity to see how everything unfolded. Um, but if you take a day where you're not trading, you're just forward testing and just looking for setups, marking them up, and just watching to see how they play out. I think that's also a great learning, but does require some discipline to not take a setup that you believe is a winner. Yeah, I agree. Afternoon trading only. Just be a spectator in the morning and get ready for the afternoons. That might that actually may not be a bad idea. May not be a horrible idea. Have you noticed that your mornings are different when there's news as opposed to when not? Usually Mondays come without news in the mornings, and so maybe take a look back at some of your Monday training and trading and see if you have a higher win rate. Because that's usually the issue with the morning is they're just so volatile. Okay, for now we're at 50% and show a rejection at that fair value gap. Okay, all right, buy out. That's fine. Now let's see how this fair value gap fares then. Will it reject price lower? All right. So as far as our bullish setup, we do have a new low. Well, we have a low that has been swept. We'll now need for higher prices to be delivered and a new high to be made. Okay, delete that. See where do we go from here? That fair value gap, is it reclaimed? Let's see. See if we can get a close above. Okay, in fact, we do get a reclaimed fair value gap. Alrighty. That came through with a little power. Again, rejections off of the 50% mark of this fair value gap. So if our candle bodies are remaining in the top 1/4%. Okay, that's slight change. Okay. Let's see where this one ends up. Extend this out a bit. Also the bearish one. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get a close above this fair value gap. If we can, then we have potentially a setup coming. All right, 3 o'clock, power hour. Here we are. My day this morning was not good. Definitely not good this morning. So far this afternoon, I've had 1 win and 2 losses. There have been a few other setups that have produced winners this afternoon, but I didn't take those. But of the setups that I took, 1 win, 2 losses this afternoon. All right, finally, new high. Let's see, do we want this setup or not? It's such a strong candle. Look at that. You know what? I'm inclined to take it. If it comes back down, I'll take it. Hey, 50 percenters are winners. I was too late, so I didn't get in. Let's see where the 30 percenters are. 30 percenters are 2/3 of the way there. Thirty percenters are winners too. Congrats to anyone who took that trade. Yep. Anyone who wanted 70%, you have not been entered into the trade yet. Okay, now this becomes our swing low that we're looking for a price to trade down to in order to create the next setup. Right. Almost created a market structure shift, but not quite. Let's see if our 70 percenters want to trade. No, not quite. 70 percenters are still in. All right. All retracement levels delivered on this setup. The first time, unless you try to take 30 during this most recent retracement. And in that case, yeah, it just traded straight down and out of the zone. But if you took 30% on the first retracement, you were a winner, 50% as well, and 70. I want to thank everyone for everyone who's liked the video so far. Thank you very much for that. I know that helps YouTube promote the video to other prospective traders or others who are looking at similar searches or watching similar videos. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Anyone who their first go at it, or you are enjoying the content and you want to get invitations for future live streams, consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, now it looks like, so if we just pay attention to the last, and really it's the macro from 250 until that runs from 250 till 310, it looks like price is just in the same area, hasn't really gotten out of this zone at all. And since we've watched, after it made a new high, we watched the retracement come down and deliver at all the retracement levels. So we don't want to take another setup in this zone. In fact, let me move this. We haven't had a market structure shift, so we're still bullish. But we want price to break out of this consolidation it's in. So let's give it some time. Let's watch just be patient, sit back and watch the candles print a bit. And let's get rid of some of these fair value gaps. We don't need those any longer. See if this can hold price. Although we are essentially like this now. Now it's 310. Let's see if price can break out now. Right, maybe these double highs will be the next target. There it is. All right, just like all the others, little breakout, but trade right back inside. What we want to see is we want to see a breakout, we want to see it close, and then we want to see it continue. Anybody got prediction? What are we doing for the last hour? We buying or selling? So sweep of a new high. Oh, sorry, creation of a new high. Sweep of a low right here. Now if we can create a new high, then we technically have another setup, even though it's in the same consolidation range that we want to avoid. Okay, let's pay attention to these lows that it's approaching now. This is where you get a market structure shift. Go ahead and put that there so we can all see. Make it a little larger. Put the fair value gap here just so we can see if it gets overtaken and closed below. Stretch it out a bit. All right, tap right on the 50% level of that. See if we can now trade into the upper limits of this consolidation range. All right, equal highs now taken. Let's see if we can continue up. And in fact, we needed to make a new high. So that's our new target. Okay, no predictions. All right, nobody wants to stick their neck out there. All right, well, I see a lot of bearish fair value gaps ahead of us, but I am bullish for the rest of the hour. That's just a prediction, but if things change and we get market structure shift, I'll change with it. Excellent. Okay, got a new high made. Let's see if this time price can close above, stay out of this consolidation range. All right, so we don't want to take this entry because we don't even want to see price return into this gray box. Every time it returns in this gray box, it has the potential to get stuck. We don't want to see price stuck there. Okay, let's see if we can't get a breakout of price upwards. It's coming in for it. I know it is. So I'll go ahead and mark it up just in case, just to show you what it looks like. But it's not a trade I want. Okay, 50s are probably done. Yep, 50 percenters are winners. 30% entries are still in the trade. Okay, so we saw price trade out of the consolidation zone, closing outside, which is a good sign. We then saw it trade back in down to the 50% area. Keep in mind, this box that I drew is just a consolidation area, just a zone I want to look at. So there's no like science behind exactly the lower extreme and exactly the upper extreme. So that's not the case. But the fact that we see it trading into like the middle of this area, um, hopefully it trades out of and close above and continues its bullish trend. Yep, 30 percenters are still in the trade. All right, there it is. 30 percenters are winners as well. 70% retracement never got tapped into. So those of you waiting for that trade never came. And honestly, if we're to continue bullish, we don't really want to see that 70% level tapped into. A retracement that far may signal we're going bearish. All right, new highs. Let's move this long tool out of the way. We can just still leave that where it is. Get rid of these lines. Okay. There we go. For anyone new who jumped in the channel and not familiar with what type of trading we're doing on this channel, is we're doing a scalp, small one-to-one scalping trade on the 30-second chart. Our targets are 5 points take profit, 5-point stop loss, and it's based on following the trend. First, you identify the extremes of a trend. You then look for the other side to be swept, so some sort of liquidity sweep. In this case, we had a high here made. Then we were looking for a liquidity sweep of a swing low, which we did get from here. This was a swing low when price traded below it. Then we needed a new high to be put in. So if this was our high before, we had to wait for price to trade above, out of the consolidation zone and above the previous high. Once that occurred, then since we're bullish and we're looking for higher prices, any move downwards is considered manipulation. And so we put a Fibonacci on this entire zone from the upper wick to the lower wick. And we wait for a retracement to 30% for an aggressive entry, or you can enter at 50% or 70%. Regardless, it's a one-to-one trade and looking for 5 points. Hey, let me just change the way this is looking. Just so it's a little easier to see, but let's hope that price continues moving. Hope price continues bullish actually. But yeah, we're not looking for another setup in this zone here, even though someone may have wanted a second entry for the last setup, which it did deliver on this candle. This candle dipped down past the 30% entry level. So someone who is believing that this setup may work out again jumped in and is currently in a trade. Now, since it made a higher high here, we have not swept a low. So there is not a new setup anywhere. This is still the old setup that this candle here played off of. And since it was an old setup, I would probably move my stop to break even now, just to make sure it didn't roll back on me. I mean, it delivered 90% of the trade already. Yep, see, there it is. I wouldn't have wanted to sit there and now be looking at potentially taking a loss after this setup has delivered twice already and looks like a third one. Not to mention, if it does trickle down to the 70% entry, which it hasn't done yet, the 30% entry would hit its stop loss prior to getting there. So 70% is where it is now. So anyone who was waiting on that and hadn't entered yet are now in a trade. Stretch this out. We're still in the consolidation zone. All right, 70%ers are winners. So all three were winners on its first entry into that level. 30% if you try to get in the third time, it was a loser. Okay. Let's go move that out of the way. Okay, it's now been 40 minutes since we moved out of this zone. Let's hope in the next 30 minutes we do get a few more entries we can take, but we don't want to take any more in this zone. Alrighty, so now let's pay attention to this area right here, which could signal a switch from bullish to bearish. So let's look at that purple line and just make sure that we're watching price, and that if it does trade past that trade lower, and especially close lower, but it could just wick lower, then we just want to be aware that price could continue. It doesn't mean that it's going to turn bearish, but it does trigger our action to start paying attention and start looking to see if price wants to remain bullish or whether it wants to switch bearish. Because it could just be a price sweep. It could sweep below and then resume and take out this high and make a new high. Okay, at first glance, that looks good, but let's see if it closes right at 335. Same zone has now created another setup. Right, so we had a high here. Then on its way down, there were multiple lows taken. This one being actually, that wasn't even the first one. The first one taken was here on its way down. Then it took out the second one, right? And then we made a new high up here. So see if we can get a push higher here with an abbreviated entry, which should give us some upside if we can get a winner here. I mean, we did, after we broke the high, we did get a recoil and it closed down here, which was not ideal, but we'll take it. Put our stop at the bottom of this swing low. So we've now reduced our risk a little bit more. Okay, 2 contracts closed out. 3 are still open. See if we can't get a push up. All right, all contracts closed. This is not a winner. And instead of losing 500, I think we end up losing 3 something. Alrighty. I thought we may have, by taking an entry just up at the top upper edge here, I thought maybe we would have survived. But yeah, it's essentially it's all the same area. We need price to move to a different area. Okay, let's keep an eye on time. It's now 3:40. This is our market structure shift area. It came down and touched it. It didn't break through, but it did touch. Okay, we did get a breakthrough now. Okay. So now that we had a breakthrough and a market structure shift, essentially, um, we're no longer strictly bullish. Now we're looking, we're waiting, see if price wants to remain bearish or if this was just a liquidity sweep and now it's going to run for new highs. We also, if we look back, we've broken this level several times, each time with a wick back into this zone. We've been in this zone since, yeah, for the last 50 minutes. So we don't want to overreact, but we do want to take a step back and not hold a bias. Okay, still sitting in the middle of that consolidation zone. So we continue to wait. Okay, we got about 20 minutes left on the session today. So um, sometimes we'll extend it to about 10 minutes after the hour, which is when prop firms close all trades. It just depends on how things are looking at that time. So I'll make that decision in the next 15 minutes. But I do want to encourage anyone new to the channel to subscribe so you get invites to the future live sessions. And anyone who's liking the session today, if you can click the thumbs up so YouTube can promote us to other traders looking for live sessions. And for all subscribers and those who've liked the video today so far, thank you very much for your support. Really do appreciate it. The community here is starting to develop and we're getting returning members in daily and starting to have some interesting conversations about trading. So I'm very pleased to see that. Let's clean this up, move this out of the way, get rid of this line, extend our consolidation box out. And what we're waiting for is for price to trade outside the box and to close. In the case of bullish setup, we actually need a new high to be made from here. For anyone who was on the earlier session this morning, or if you joined around 1 o'clock when we started this afternoon session, we do have the new day opening gap coming right around 16,760. Price has been drawn to that all day, and I got a feeling it may be drawn to there this afternoon as a place to as its final objective. And we're not far away, actually. We're about 15 points away. So if we can break through and make a high, and we did, there we go. All right, sweet. Let's see. See, this would be the exact same entry we had last time, which was at the edge of this box. So I'm going to delete this so it doesn't even entice me to even look at a trade there. What I want to see is price to continue upwards. I don't like this big rejection we're looking at now. Although it looks like that trade I just said I didn't want is potentially delivering. 43, where's 48 and a quarter? Nope, not quite. That's good. Ooh, okay. Okay, so we've had now we're closing in on, it's been 1 hour since price has left this area, and that doesn't look good at all. Nasty price action. Look at this. Guess on the bright side, if you want to take a long every time it touches the bottom edge and a short every time it touches the top edge, guess you could have been taking 10 points all throughout the hour. We just had a 10-point run up and retracement all in the same candle. Okay. Just take a step back. 1 minute. Let's go to, just go to the 5 minute for a second. Okay, we got 4 or 5 rejection candles in a row here, where we get push up, make a new high, close back in the box. Okay, we don't need these any longer. Need this any longer. Looks like price is pushing up now. This is the highest closing candle we've had pretty much all afternoon. We got equal highs now. Let's see if it can break that high. Close above. Okay, it did break that high. Can it close above? Okay. Remember the new day opening gap I was referring to? It's this yellow shaded area at the top of the screen. So the lower extreme of that is 16,762.5. I had a feeling price was going to push up there at 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, it's waited. It's now 3:50 and it's still trying to get there. Okay, can we get price to be held? Okay, we got a new high. Now we need a low to be swept. The closest low is here. Okay, we have a low swept now. Let's see if a new high is put in. All right, the market makers had a different idea. Okay. Is it here? Okay, can we still push and make a new high? Because if we can, we still have the bullish setup. All right, 5 minutes till 4. Now let's see if we can get a rally. Okay. See if this candle continues the rally. See if that holds price. Okay, the small one did not. Let's see if the larger one can continue to hold like its previous, all the previous candles held right around that 50% mark. Okay, about the same. See if we can reclaim this fair value gap and get a close above. Okay. Will it stop here, which essentially you can see like a trend line going this direction, or will it continue to push? Got 2 minutes before 4 o'clock. Okay, very near to making a new high. There it is. Okay, so that's it. I took this last trade, 5 contracts, and it delivered that quickly. It was literally almost 2 seconds. So if you blinked, you definitely missed it. Um, Let me quickly walk through that last trade I took. Just we all are familiar with the process. So the most recent high is the one with the purple line I had. Once that was made, I was looking for a low to be swept, which we had a low swept right here, a swing low. So we have a low with a higher low to the left and a higher low to the right. There's also a swing low here, which was swept down. So we had multiple that were swept. And then from there, after that's done, then you need a new high. So if this was the previous high, as soon as this candle hit and took out the high, then you would have needed to have your Fibonacci placed. And 30% was an aggressive entry. So that was the one I took, the first one. Put it here. And you can see within the same candle, we had a dip down and then buy out of the zone. So within literally when I got into the trade, and I got in a little bit below the 30% because I was late. It was already trading down here. And I just hit the limit order and say, hey, put me in here. But since it was already trading below it, it just threw me in where I was. So I got probably a couple ticks or maybe a point additional. And I went in with 5 contracts. So there was a win of, wow, nearly $600. Good way to finish. It was a tough day today for sure. There was this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, I have 2 wins and 3 losses, I think. And this morning was 3 losses or 4 losses. It was not a good day. I understand now why some people, well, I knew before, why some people want to take the rest of the week off after FOMC. But again, remember I was talking about the new day opening gap and it trading into that, and that being sort of the target of where to finish off of the day. It's this yellow shaded area, and this is where we finish right at 4 o'clock. Price may continue to run and may do some other things, but this is where I thought we would land. And it's good to see that's the way things worked out. Again, for anyone new, please like the video if you had a good time, and YouTube will find other traders just like us so we can all have a larger community to belong to. And also, if you want to continue, make sure you subscribe so you get those future invites, and you also get a 30-minute reminder right before we go live. So it was a good session today. Even though they weren't all winners, it still was a good session. I had a good time. I'm glad you guys were all here. Thank you for joining and being here with us. And tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we're at it again. So with that, I'm going to end the broadcast and finish up with one final thank you. Till next time, bye.